celebrities. Here, he was somebody, and there is just another celebrity. In my view, he's the loser, big time.
This is one of those stories that doesn't whisper. It explodes. Because when someone who has spent decades behind palace walls watching history unfold through a camera lens finally stops being polite, you listen. The legendary royal photographer Arthur is not mincing words at all. He called Harry a loser, and he said it with confidence. Here are the 10 reasons the royal photographer thinks Harry is a loser. And do not miss the 7th reason, because that one is the bitter truth. Arthur doesn't sound angry. That's what makes it brutal. He sounds finished. There was a time when Harry had everything handed to him before he could even speak. Royal blood, a future written in gold, a place in history that no amount of money could buy. He wasn't just royal, he was protected by centuries of power, tradition, and loyalty. And Arthur says Harry threw it away like it meant nothing. All of it, for a Netflix deal that fizzled, for interviews that backfired, for attention that didn't last. Arthur says Harry didn't just walk away from royalty, he torched the bridge, salted the ground, and then complained he couldn't cross back. And the palace? They didn't cry, they locked the doors.
He's got to start sort of seeing things as they really are, and he's no longer welcome here, it just seems, and he's going to have to make a big act of contrition, in my view, to the king before he gets back, because
the palace is not distancing themselves from Harry. They have gone into full lockdown mode because of Harry. An urgent renovation may be going on inside the palace. His old keys no longer work. Before he steps into the palace, he now has to ask for an invitation. And if the invitation is not granted, he will sit back in his Montecito mansion. From a prince to a commoner, this is the ultimate downgrade of the century. And it is a big loss. Think about that for a second. A man born into castles now needs permission just to knock. Arthur says this isn't symbolic, it's practical. The family is scared, not of violence, of exposure, of betrayal, of their words becoming content, their pain becoming profit, because Harry, according to Arthur, has become radioactive. One conversation, one private moment, one careless word, and suddenly it's a chapter, a documentary, a headline. Arthur says Harry didn't just lose status, he lost trust. And once your own family doesn't feel safe talking to you in private, you're done.
Quite honestly, they're frightened to have him with them in things, because any conversation they may have could be in the next TV program, and they're not prepared to do that anymore.
The royals are cautious because it seems the planned content for Netflix is finished, and a simple hello from any royal could become a 6-episode Netflix series. A private chat with Harry could appear in his next memoir titled Spare 2. Harry has gone from being a prince to a walking audio recorder, and the firm is tired of providing content for Harry and Meghan's production line. Arthur says this is where Harry truly fell, not when he left, but when he turned memory into merchandise. Once upon a time, Harry was a soldier, a war veteran, a man people respected. Now, Arthur says he's a hobby podcaster with canceled contracts and recycled grievances, rejected by Spotify, clinging to Oprah moments, still insisting he's powerful. Arthur laughs at that. He says Harry believes his own hype long after the crowd has left.
No, I think he thinks he's bigger than he actually is, and I also feel that Meghan is becoming, I don't think almost doesn't want to come here anymore.
Harry is living in a fantasy universe where he is the main character, but in reality, in people's eyes, he's just a puppet. Arthur says his ego is now a floating hot air balloon drifting with no rope, no direction, and absolutely no applause. But it gets darker, much darker. Arthur says this isn't just about Harry anymore, it's about the children, about what they're losing while adults fight for relevance. He says children need grandparents, cousins, family dinners, familiar faces, and Harry, according to Arthur, has ripped all of that away. Arthur describes Harry as emotionally cruel and evil-minded. King Charles is getting older by the day, and he is battling health issues that he is managing medically. Said King Charles spent a short period of time in hospital today after experiencing the temporary side effects of his cancer treatment. Arthur says this should have been the moment Harry came home quietly. No cameras, no conditions, just a son showing up. Instead, the kids grow up distant, seen once a year in photos, removed from cousins, uncles, and a grandfather who doesn't have infinite time. Arthur doesn't sugarcoat it. He says Harry isn't just failing as a son, he's failing as a father. And that hurts more than any insult, because there was a time Harry was adored, laughing, loved, the golden boy who created the Invictus Games and brought pride to the family. Then everything changed. Popularity collapsed, respect evaporated, and suddenly, Arthur says, Harry found himself hovering just above the bottom of the royal ladder. Barely. Even Prince Andrew beats him now. Imagine that. Arthur calls it one of the most humiliating pitfalls in modern royal history. Harry traded legacy for lifestyle, purpose for paparazzi, meaning for Montecito smoothies and neighbors who don't know his surname. Arthur says Montecito is where celebrities go to disappear politely, where relevance goes to die slowly with green juice and denial. And still, Arthur says the fix was simple. Come home, apologize, grow up. But Harry won't. Instead, Arthur says he'd rather sue governments than admit fault, and he's going to have to make a big act of contrition, in my view, to the king before he gets back. Even the mediation he planned with his father ended in a deadlock in less than 15 minutes. Arthur says even the attempt at peace was performative, uninvited, unplanned, suspiciously timed. Was it for family or footage? Arthur doesn't believe Harry does anything now without thinking of narrative. And then comes the security claim. Arthur calls it what it is, an excuse. They thought he should have been here. And all this nonsense about, he couldn't get protection. As far as I'm concerned, that was a pathetic excuse. Arthur says Harry wasn't afraid. He just didn't want to show up without cameras, glamour, or brand value. If it didn't look good, it didn't happen. And Meghan? Arthur says she's already checked out. She married a prince. Now he flies economy, gets mocked publicly, and comes back alone. Arthur says that silence speaks louder than words. This is his final verdict. Harry was born into immortality, 1,000 years of legacy. Nations adored him, and he walked away, not for love, for victimhood. Arthur says the game is over. No redemption arc, no grand return. Harry chose this path, and according to Arthur, that choice made him a loser for life. And Arthur doesn't soften his words at the end, because in his mind there is no soft ending left for Harry. He says what people are watching now isn't a tragedy, it's a slow unraveling. A man who keeps insisting he's important while the world quietly moves on without him. A man who once walked into rooms where everyone stood up, now walking past people who barely look twice. Arthur says the most painful part isn't the money lost or the titles stripped away or the palace doors quietly closing. It's the dignity Harry burned himself. Because dignity is the one thing royalty gives you for free. And once you throw it away, you can't sue your way back to it. He points out how Harry keeps talking about security, danger, fear, but never seems afraid enough to stop filming. Never scared enough to stop giving interviews. Never worried enough to live privately. Arthur says real fear makes people disappear. Harry does the opposite. He performs it, and every performance chips away at what little credibility he has left. Arthur says the public can forgive mistakes. They can forgive anger, even betrayal sometimes. What they don't forgive is endless self-pity mixed with entitlement. And Harry, according to him, serves that combination on repeat. The lawsuits didn't make him look brave. The memoir didn't make him look honest. The documentaries didn't make him look misunderstood. They made him look small. Arthur says Harry keeps acting like the world owes him protection, applause, sympathy, and power without offering responsibility, restraint, or silence in return. And that imbalance is why doors close quietly instead of slamming, because the palace didn't need to punish him. They simply stopped reacting. That, Arthur says, is the real exile. No banishment ceremony, no dramatic confrontation, just irrelevance. And the cruel irony, everything Harry claims he wants, respect, safety, belonging, was already his. All he had to do was protect it. Instead, Arthur says, Harry chose the spotlight over substance, grievance over gratitude, cameras over character. He didn't lose his home. He abandoned it. He didn't lose his family. He recorded them. And now, according to Arthur, he's left standing outside a story that has already moved on, still talking, still explaining, still blaming, while history quietly closes the book without him. That's why Arthur doesn't sound angry. He sounds final. He sounds final. He sounds